I recorded the clouds. Anyway, welcome back to midweek. We are going to kick it back to our favorite midweek activity. And we're going to start with a minute of silence.
Oh boy.
You guys miss these?
So much.
Y'all are talking. Is it started yet?
Yeah, it started.
Oh, okay.
Starting. But it's not loud. That's the
It's
time.
time.
That's the minute.
I feel enlightened.
I find them restful. It's like, midweek. Let me stop.
Like Lacey, stop talking.
No, I love talking to people.
You get silent.
If anything, it's the other way around. Like, oh, thank God. So, let's start with some good news.
I shared with a random man.
Yeah.
It was weird. I started out with this is awkward because my mom. And then I gave
I'm going off.
What did he say? He said, "Oh, thanks."
Nice. That's awesome.
That's great.
I'm assuming it was like one of the track team.
No, it was okay.
Years ago.
I haven't still. I mean, it's all I had. So it was this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. 1930 Bible talk, second and fourth Thursday, 7:30 p.m.
Which, by the way, is
Is that
happening
right?
tomorrow.
Hey.
At our house.
Yeah.
It's 7.
This and
That's okay.
that's the wrong address.
Oh, yeah.
So all of our,
But it has your name on it.
it
That's
does,
the good
yeah.
part,
And it has it should have an Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
So I keep all the Instagram stuff up to date, because honestly, our campus ones are out of date too. I switched everything for this semester. So we literally, funny enough, me and Jackson were reaching out today for Bible talk. We're handing them out and we're like, yeah, here's all our contact info. It's all wrong. So just check Instagram for it and you'll find, the right stuff.
Yeah.
So. But. Anyway. Yeah. Any other good news?
I got two.
Two, well, pick one.
I'm sharing two. The first one was we got this floating TV stand a couple weeks ago, and like we haven't been able to hang it yet because we didn't have the battery for the grill. But we got it, and Sean and I he had to put it up, and it took him like 3 hours. But he got it up, and it was really impressive. I wasn't any help. I was like, "You got it." It was super heavy. It's like 100 pounds, and he's like over there like trying to hold it up and like drill, and I'm just like,
Even hold it.
"No, that's hard." But it's up, and I think it's not gonna fall. So
Yeah.
She's still like 100% sure.
it was doing this weird angle thing, like not because of him. It's just like I can see why the woman, like, she sold it to us for $20, and this thing's brand new. So we just felt like, I wonder why she's getting rid of it, and now we know why it was impossible to put up. So that's my first.
Near impossible.
Lacey's good news is my terrible news.
It looks great.
I spent 3 hours putting up this. This thing was so heavy.
I would have been frustrated.
Well, and I hung our TV. So I put our TV up and then I go to put this thing up and I'm like, I realized where I wanted to put it. It didn't have enough studs to like actually hold it. So I was like, this thing's not gonna fit where I want it. So then we put it on the back wall, but the back wall was like, I had to get up on the couch to put it on the back. I literally took the top off, put the top into the wall, and then attached the bottom afterwards.
But it looks great. You did a great job. And then my second, yeah, hopefully it's still up when we get there. Otherwise, we'll have giant holes in our wall. Second good news was we went to Lexington over the weekend and it's been pretty cool. We had a good time seeing everyone and, their campus ministry is a little bit bigger, so it's kind of, it's just refreshing to meet them all, and we went hiking with a couple from Bowling Green, at Mammoth Cave the next day, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Weekend.
It was a fun weekend.
We are super grateful for the Geralds. On Saturday, they took for a couple hours. And got no rest, and made more of a mess, so. Yeah. Everybody had fun.
Yeah.
We are also very grateful for the Geralds. The Geralds bailed us out on Sunday. Believe.
I got the call and he's like, hey.
Oh,
Wait, that's it.
No.
I called you and I said, what's in your trunk? And you immediately knew it was not.
Red flag.
Where are
But
Gerald's came to the rescue.
yes,
Amen.
we quite literally would not have brought our coffee table back without you guys,
Yeah, we
so.
spent 5 minutes trying to get the booster car seat out of our car so we could take that.
Dude, that thing frustrated me. I think I messaged you, I said, don't you ever put that in your car? My God. That's what I was saying. If it took you 3 hours to do that, because I got heated over 3 minutes.
Yeah. No, those folks are always.
Kind of hard. Other good news.
Oh, we got our $250 for our Hyundai.
Hey.
From the mechanic that really undercut us on the price.
Yeah.
He finally paid
He doesn't
$250 last night.
Make one payment.
Yeah, which honestly, that brought us out of the negative because it was about 200 for the rental to get home. So we're even now.
Yeah.
We paid taxes. But he already had done on it, so yeah, we got them.
He actually paid us about $1.
Hey, and I guess.
We got a new car, it's a lot better than the old one.
Yeah.
Oh, and we had to go help someone with a coffee table. Oh, you were there for that.
I was there.
It wasn't a hard ship, it was a soft ship.
A soft ship.
It was good.
Cool. Other good news? Garrett, Jackson, anything? Jackson?
You kind of already said mine, but yeah, we went Sharon today.
Yeah. We did. We like went, talked to a couple people. I mean, it's, you know, the Bible Belt, so nobody like punched us in the face or anything, which was like, hey, that's great.
Yeah.
But it sounded like, I mean, from the people we talked to, a couple people sounded really genuine about it, genuinely interested, and so. The nice thing is we're doing 2 Bible talks, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, same exact things, but. It's okay. So hopefully, prayerfully, more people will come out to tomorrow night, and then we had a great Bible talk today. We had 3 visitors there. It was like, I mean, it was probably the best Bible talk we've had in terms of attendance since the beginning of the semester. So I feel like usually it's like Bible talk kind of like peaks in the fall, and then the spring it's just kind of dead. Nobody's on campus in the spring. I don't know what it is, but I was really encouraged by it, so. And other good news, Super Bowl's this Sunday, and the Eagles are in the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, I had no
Who else? I
idea.
don't know if you guys know this, but the Eagles beat the Giants earlier this year 3 times.
No, we were there.
They beat the Giants in the playoffs, they beat the Vikings, or the Niners in the playoffs.
Wait, who did they face?
They like crushed the Giants, right? Like they.
Actually, they destroyed the Niners too.
I can feel it twitching.
Like.
Right now.
Is like.
You know, the one redeeming thing about being a Giants fan is that you're not a Cowboys fan, so. Amen.
Because the Cardinals,
Still have no coach.
I saw somebody like went, their mentality for like, who they root for in a football game was like. If the mascot, I think the mascot could beat the other mascot, so they'd be like, oh, a Cardinal couldn't beat an Eagle. Like, it's not gonna happen. Eagle would beat a Cardinal. That's kind of what I.
This is not church topic, but like, there was a video I saw of a TV that was being hit by a hammer and it wouldn't break. And they're like, who would need this? And then it was a Cowboys fan saying, here's the card.
It's always great to, you know, joke about the Cowboys. Anyway,
maybe that's.
does anybody have the workbook on them? Does anybody have the workbook on them?
No.
I keep trying to print it out from the library, but every time it's hit the limit.
To do it first thing in the morning.
I know, it was like
Whoops.
10:30 this morning, I was, and it's still hit the limit. I was like, how many things do we have? 5? Like, what the heck?
Well, I was supposed to read the introduction, but I forgot my workbook, so.
You made it.
Classic.
Swing it. Make it up.
Wing it.
Can you call Rich and have him like for us over
Hey, are you in the middle of something there?
the?
Well, I guess probably a good idea to start with a prayer. But before that, how many people got a chance to do the community temperature reading throughout the week?
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
looking
like
at the totals?
The like appreciation, like I appreciate, I'm puzzled.
I threw a couple of appreciations out there.
Nice.
Oh, Beck did.
I guess I just.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember you telling me you appreciated it.
Yeah, that's right, I did it once.
Yeah, Beck did it, cause she appreciated something I
You're
did.
doing the-
I remember her.
That's you too.
Oh, yeah, Jacob did your dish.
And I also said I appreciate.
Yeah.
There we go. Well, cool. Again, those 5 things, the 5 categories that we talked through, you know, I appreciate, I'm puzzled, sharing something about your life, goals and dreams and stuff. Those things are meant to be like work in, those are kind of the baseline for a lot of the things that we're talking about. Like they're the ways that you're able to actually implement a lot of the relational stuff that we're talking about. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, I'm like, what's like, it's the. No, it's the little thing that pulls lines on a rope.
Um,
It's outside. The wind sucking it on.
Okay. Anyway,
What part of this are you wanting to read?
the introduction,
Workbook activity, individual activity
the introduction
to the book?
to week 2. The mind reading and clarify.
Pre-session reading,
Right after that. It's like 1 paragraph.
group meeting, daily introduction
Yeah.
to the
that one.
emotional healthy relations day by day.
Yeah.
All that.
Sure.
spelling.
Let me see what it is.
subsection A.
Yeah.
Chapter B.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. I appreciate that. you
That's
have to
right.
Scan to your phone somehow.
That's right, I'm puzzled why. Question.
Here's some new information.
Mind doing.
That's my least favorite. I'll be honest.
So the introduction, it says, the ninth commandment reads, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor, Exodus 20, verse 16. Every time we make an assumption about someone who has hurt or disappointed us without confirming it, we believe a lie about this person in our head. Because we have not checked it out with him or her, it is very possible that we are believing something untrue. It is also likely that we will pass that false assumption around to others. When we leave reality for a mental creation of our own doing, hidden assumptions, we create a counterfeit world. When we do this, it can be properly said that we exclude God from our lives because God does not exist outside of reality and truth. In doing so, we wreck relationships by creating endless confusion and conflict. The Bible has much to say about not taking on the role of judge to others. Matthew 7, verses 1 through 5. The application of these two simple skills, stop mind reading and clarifying expectations, hold with it the key to preventing large-scale misunderstandings in friendships, family, workplace, and church. These skills provide practical help for loving others well by eliminating untold numbers of conflicts in our relationships. So that is the introduction to the overall section that we're talking about. And again, the goal of these skills is to help normalize these conversations, to work them into our conversations so that we're actually able to address the small things so they don't become big things, right? Oftentimes, like the small little things don't create distance in terms of like, I'm never talking to you again, but it causes us to withhold love in some way that then can create bigger and bigger gaps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so over in Matthew 5, starting in verse 21, it says, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who's angry with his brother will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to his brother, Raka, is answerable to the Sanhedrin, but anyone who says, you fool, will be in danger of the fire of hell. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First, go and be reconciled to your brother, then come and offer your gift. You know, these conversations are both urgent and important. Like, urgent and important things get dealt with very quickly. And so they're urgent and important enough that Jesus actually says we should leave our offering at the altar. And the implication there is that our gift will not be acceptable to God without us first being reconciled with our brother or sister. That's a wild concept. To think of like God will not be pleased with our sacrifice, with whatever we're bringing to him, if there is disunity in our body. And so today we're actually going to role play a couple of scenarios. These aren't like, just, I don't know, like, scenarios you like find in a workbook or something. I made them. I came up with them. So we'll see whether or not they're better or worse. But I have 5 different scenarios. We have 2, 4, 6, 7 people in person. So we'll go through and we'll take about 20 minutes to kind of work through these. But I need some volunteers who are gonna act. Okay. Cool. Okay. I need more volunteers than that.
Everyone in the room needs to raise their hand.
I'm no longer gonna ask for volunteers, I'm just gonna hand you stuff. He said, he had 5 this week. 7. Yeah. Yeah. 3 people are going twice. Pick your poison.
Oh, not that one.
Oh, bad choice. Pick your poison. No, you get two now. Okay, so I want you to.
Do what?
Okay, so I want you to read the description. And the goal here is that we really get into character, okay? I want you to like fully put yourself into this role. And so I'll give kind of the setting of the conflict, and we're just gonna jump into it.
How do we do this? Or like by the letters or what?
Yes, so there's an A and B for each number. So like 1A and 1B will come up and talk through it. Okay. 2A, 2B. And so we'll kind of go through them and they're meant to be like, you intentionally do not have all the information. I will give you that early. And so it's meant to be something where like it's meant to be like real life, where like you don't have all of the information in a given situation. That makes sense?
So we're supposed to go at this like not as societal for like how you would probably naturally react in that situation.
Right. I want you to put yourself like this is actually happening in your real life. How you would react. Who has 5A?
Me.
In a trade.
Huh?
In a trade room.
No, I've already read it. I'm already a character.
Okay, who has 1B?
I have one.
Then I'm gonna do about that.
Yeah.
Because Rebecca decided.
Long.
That was a little spicier anyway. Okay, so. For example, the first situation was a husband and wife trying to figure out dinner. Right, and so the husband's coming home, he has had a long day at work and comes home expecting that dinner will be ready as usual. All you want to do is eat dinner while watching a movie and fall asleep. As you walk in the door, your wife is sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Wife's perspective. It's Friday. Your husband usually wants to go out for dinners on Friday, so you got a reservation for a local restaurant and added it to your shared calendar so he would know. You have a little bit of time before you need to leave, so you put on a Netflix show.
Is that the one I would have got? Because man, I could have really done it.
Becca?
I know.
Well, I gotta read so much more.
So we're supposed to act it out?
Yes, so that would be an example, like a clear situation where misunderstanding, assumptions come in, where you're operating with a limited perspective. And your goal, you're coming into this conversation, but you're trying to gain more perspective.
Okay, so it's meant, we're trying to put our mindset in and use these tools that we've been learning.
Yes.
Versus expose our heart.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, the idea is you put yourself into this role. And then, because these are like, I mean, these are things that happen.
Yeah.
This was probably one that Lacey and I got into a little while ago. Like, well, we did this weekend. We were trying to figure out a place to get pizza. And it was like, I'm hungry. It's like, don't yell at me. I was like, I'm hungry. I'm just telling you, I'm hungry. So the idea is let's actually work through a couple of like, put ourselves in real life situations that are simulated and figure out how can we actually use these tools. Does that make sense?
Yeah, do we
So-
get like a strike system or like if we get it wrong the first time, are we out?
No.
Okay.
I will
No.
I'll whip.
So we'll start with 2A and 2B. Oh, spicy.
So wait, like, how are we just gonna act this out? We're just reading like.
No. You have like the situation, right?
Yeah.
So put yourself in that situation
Use the keys to come out.
and then, right, and then. Like the setting of this is two friends run into each other at the mall.
Oh.
So you're thinking like. You're at the mall, you're doing your thing, like, and these are like. Do it. So you guys can come up front. If you want, just cause the.
It's Joe.
Screen this.
From my child.
Aiden.
Hey, we can't hear you.
I'm good. So I think we came to the mall,
Yeah, I did.
but I asked if anybody wanted to go shopping earlier. They responded to me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just been a long week, it's been kind of crazy and I just need to kind of get away from it.
I understand.
Work's been crazy and, people keep bothering me, so. Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. So.
So, good.
But yeah, so I just been kind of trying to avoid people for the week, just trying to take a day off.
I understand that. I think I would have hoped that maybe just even responding that, like, hey, I think I would appreciate, would have said, hey, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah,
I just need some me time.
yeah.
Because I think I felt hurt that nobody responded to my message, because I really wanted to hang out with you.
And I didn't mean to make you feel that way. I was busy catching up all week with customers. So today I was like, I'm just gonna turn off my phone. It's been off all day. I just didn't want to even be bothered by it. So I really didn't even see your text message. So. All right,
It's okay.
do you want to shop now?
Yeah. Every time, maybe we can just go get coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm confused.
so, yeah, now you can read off what you have.
Oh,
So,
were we
yeah,
supposed to give the details in that time?
that was just to give you like a frame of reference to understand.
Mine says you decided that you're going to treat yourself on your day off with a trip to the mall. You've been busy all week calling customers and just need a day to get some errands done and catch up on life. You even turned your phone off so you can shop in peace. As you're leaving a store, you bump into a friend.
After a week of traveling each weekend, you finally have a weekend free. You're excited to go shopping with your friends, but no one responded to your message in Slack. Go to the mall to pick a few things to see your friend who's also shopping.
Hate that. I would have slapped me, Chelsea.
Right? She totally like, definitely like a situation that happened, right? You put a message out, you're like, hey, anybody want to hang out? Check Instagram later and everybody's hanging out. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
Right? But like those are things that come up, they happen. Let's go 3A, 3B. Oh boy, Lacey's getting her practice in.
Back to back.
Yeah, seriously. The setting for this one.
Are you right?
Setting for this one is, it is two roommates in the kitchen together.
Actually, kids.
So-
you're,
Yeah.
It's really a hard withdrawing.
Hey,
So, I noticed there was something missing from the first here.
what was it?
You noticed
It might have been, I'm sorry, the other day. I was just like, I woke up at 5 AM to get my work done. And I brewed a whole pot. And I was just like on another one on this like caffeine trip and I was like tweaking out. So I just thought since we share food usually, like I just figured it'd be okay if I took that last container of pizza.
Well, I would have asked, she would have asked me first.
Yeah.
Because that was special.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm really sorry. That makes sense. I just thought since we already like, I wasn't really thinking correctly. My mind was somewhere else. I should have asked and I'm sorry.
Okay,
You want to get a pizza?
sure.
Munchies. Okay, read your situation.
You woke up this morning early to catch up on schoolwork. You put a full pot of coffee on and 5 hours later, you're all caught up. But the caffeine has started to make you twitch. You need to eat something and luckily it's lunchtime. You go downstairs to the fridge and grab a container of something and reheat it in the microwave. You typically share food with your roommate, so you figure that it's fine.
Mom sent a care package the other day and it included a piece of your grandmother's famous meat.
Gams.
Quickly put it in the fridge and plan to eat it for once the next day. The next day when you looked in the fridge, there was no meat. And the empty container sits in the sink and you quickly figure out that your roommate ate your food.
That's made up. I do.
Yeah, Jacob would 100%.
I would have. Yeah.
Jacob would walk in and see you eating it and pull the piece
Yeah. But again, right, like. Household rules, you're like, you know. He's my food, so I eat his food, like.
That's right, yeah.
Like, oh, this is normal until something like, you know, then you're eating grandma's meatloaf. And Garrett's hurt by it and like. I feel like these are things that happen, right?
Yeah, hopefully Lacey's character enjoyed it. At least. She was like, "Nah, wasn't that good?"
She's like, I don't know what it was. I thought it was like, you know,
thought it was
it's over
pizza.
off and it's just. Cool. Jacob, you ready?
Sure. Are you 4B?
Yeah. Yeah, 4B. I wrote all of these, so.
Okay.
And the scenario for this one is we are at the office water cooler. So hold on, let me get. We even got a sound effects guy on this one.
Oh, you want to? Got it.
Come on, man. Good. How's the project going?
Oh, you know, got swamped. You doing anything?
At work?
Yeah. You get any work done?
Yeah, I've really been trying to work on it. I don't know if the boss told you, like, I got, you know, just family stuff coming up, and so I really been just totally slammed with that. So I'm really grateful that you guys have been able to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
So
There, you were just kind of like trailing off a little bit during, you know, focus group and times to like work and get together. So that, and with the boss mentioning it, I'm sleeping water. Everything else. But yeah, no, I noticed we're really talking through it, and I would prefer.
oh, hey.
I'm afraid to just be like, just let us know, step in and take that load for you. I would just rather know instead of being in the blind.
Yeah. Did Shelley tell you what happened?
Didn't tell me anything.
So I told Shelley, like, my mom's been sick in the hospital. So I've been taking. Oh, 16. So I've been staying at the hospital taking care of her. And so I just have not had the emotional bandwidth, mental bandwidth to deal with it. And so she said that it was fine for me to step back, that she would communicate with all of you to kind of pick up the slack. So I didn't intend it to cause you guys more stress or anything like that. I just, with my mom and everything that's going on with that, I've been slammed, so.
Totally understand.
Yeah. Cool. That's it. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Hang on.
High five.
So, you wanna read yours?
Yeah. Your team has a big project due at the end of the week, and your one coworker has been dragging the whole team down. You have had to pick up the slack so far, but you're starting to fall behind on your own work. Your boss has vaguely mentioned some personal issue that your coworker had a few weeks ago, but they seem fine now. As you're getting a drink from the water cooler, your coworker walks up.
Mine says, your team has a big project due at the end of the week, and you haven't been able to keep up with the pace of work. Your mom has been sick in the hospital, and you've been the primary contact since you live the closest to her. You told your boss about what's going on, and she said that the rest of the team will pick up the slack, and they have, but it's put a lot of strain on them. As you go to get a drink from the water cooler, you see your coworker is also there.
And he's
Yeah, not-
fuming.
Right, yeah, not something that like, you communicate with your boss never communicates with anybody else. And now everybody they don't understand the full,
I almost wish I was able to read mine before we had the scoop on yours, because mine seemed very. After we, the fact that it's like your mom was sick, it's like, wow, I sound like a jerk.
But it's like a totally reasonable thing to be
Yeah.
like,
You're not doing anything.
if everything's normal and you just have one coworker who's dragging their feet, it's like, hey. You're like dragging the whole team down, versus like. Oh,
Yeah.
this makes sense, like that, so, yeah, anyway, all right, 5A and 5B. Let's go.
So are we doing this properly, or are we doing like how not to have this conversation?
I'm so confused, what conversation? No, I'm gonna call you.
Yeah, it's to put into practice the skills that we're using.
Okay,
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I know, that was never, that was never.
It was just recited everything that she was gonna say wrong. She wants to
Yeah.
slam that.
Oh, no, I can't do that. All right, now
So
you
yes,
come up here.
the goal is to put these into practice. Yes, yeah.
Rebecca,
How are you? I'm all right,
Yeah?
Yeah.
What you think of the service?
Lesson was pretty good, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Just some stuff that was on my heart,
Oh, really?
It really was like, I just really want to encourage people to, reach out and.
Yeah. We'll give you that idea.
Well, a few people were just, to my understanding, just really wanting to stretch out themselves and go after reaching out more on their own. And so I thought really bringing it out into the sermons will help encourage people to do it more on their own.
That's nice, yeah.
I feel like I haven't caught up with you. Is everything okay? Like, how's life?
I don't know, it's just been tough recently, talking to my discipler about stuff and, sharing being one of them, and I don't know, it just seemed like your lessons were like, kind of like pointed, like you were calling people out.
I don't know if I was really calling people out, but I just want to encourage people. Is there something that you feel is not going on?
Well, it just seemed like you're kind of frustrated, you know, like we're not sharing, so like,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I don't feel, I do feel that if people want to do this, this is something that, you know, the Bible does call us to do, but I want to encourage people and show them that I can help, or I can help.
That's good to know. I feel like, yeah, I mean, well, that's good to hear. It makes me feel relieved, so I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, I really think you should be, you know, reaching out to about 30 people a day. So.
Go ahead and read your. Things.
Mine says a few weeks ago, you mentioned to your discipler that you've been having a hard time reaching out. Ever since that conversation, the Sunday lesson has been in some way about sharing your faith. You get the sense that the lead evangelist is frustrated with you based off of this and the fact that the past few times you talked to him, he has very quickly ended the conversation. At service ends, he comes up to talk to you.
The church you lead is really having a hard time engaging in the mission. Everyone talks about wanting to study the Bible with more people, but it seems like only a few people actually engage in sharing it. The past few weeks, you've been trying to encourage people to reach out more through your Sunday sermons. You see one member who you haven't gotten a lot of time to talk to. The past few times you tried, you've gotten pulled away from the conversation by more urgent things. You have the time now to talk, so you go over and talk.
Well,
The biggest one.
like there is there's a period when I was in Pittsburgh, it was like a month straight, we talked about, I don't even know what, but I remember after every Sunday lesson, I just felt super guilty. I just felt so discouraged after every Sunday service. So these things happen. I
I
can tell
imagine
you.
like, minister comes down, he's like, yeah, I feel like that was a great lesson. Put on, I've never been so discouraged.
But it is like, you know, like these are the little things that like, you know, like, oh man, I'm feeling guilty. And then you don't say anything, you're like there's just an awkward conversation or whatever, and people go, I must have had a bad day, whatever, and like, you just kind of brush it away. Right? Like having the conversation of like, you know, but like these are the situations, right? These are the little things that we can have these conversations. When we normalize them, we're actually able to get resolved. We're able to talk about these things in a way that helps to build unity rather than create distance. That don't make sense?
Like even afterwards, I noticed there was even better ways to say what I was saying. And
And it is, and I think I want to do these in person and kind of do them live because I think it puts us in the mindset of how could I have done that better? Versus like, I think oftentimes we have these interactions and we kind of sense that the other person's like upset about something or that they're off and just go, wow, that's weird, and then we walk away. Right, rather than like actually sitting, having the conversation, trying to figure out like what is going on. So yeah. The second part of this chapter was having reasonable expectations. And so I thought it would be good to do it as a group. to figure out what are reasonable expectations for someone you're reaching out to. Reasonable expectations for a friend, your discipler, and like a Bible talk leader or church leader. Oh,
Expectations as in,
as in like, what are reasonable expectations that you can have for somebody who you're reaching out to? Like you walk up to somebody on the street, you're gonna reach out to them. What is a reasonable expectation? Peter, I feel like I'm getting closer to you.
It's like, what are you doing? And there'd be a big guarded, I feel like being guarded is a little
Yeah.
bit expected, because the odds of them being spoke to by strangers kind of slim.
Yeah. Yeah, to be like a little caught off guard, to be a little defensive or whatever, yeah.
yeah, I would say, I mean, nobody owes you anything. like,
Yep.
Much less their time, so like, whenever I stop somebody and they give it.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a reasonable expectation is like. They don't blow you off.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, it's not, I don't think it's unreasonable to say. Hey, I'm not interested, I don't have time for that, like, whatever.
I know
Yeah.
that's a-
I actually always expect that. And then if anything deviates from it, I'm surprised or I'm
Yeah.
happy. Like,
And it's strange to think of like expectation for somebody you're reaching out to or somebody you never met. But it's true, like we have all sorts of unspoken expectations with strangers, with people who we don't have relationships with. I feel like they're very generic, I expect people who I reach out to not to punch me in the face.
yeah.
I expect that of everybody. But I think we can have unreasonable expectations, right? When we're going out and we're sharing and we're like, I expect that everybody is gonna say yes to coming to Bible talk. Like there's that is an unreasonable expectation that can cause us to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. That was probably the most like difficult one.
Yeah.
But what are like reasonable expectations for a friend, somebody who, you spend time with?
Why a text message?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Unless it's just a TikTok.
It's
hard.
yeah, you should still like it.
Yeah.
I'm still hard.
Hard.
It's hard.
I saw it.
I'm trying to anger.
Yeah, then you can't do it.
Reply with heart.
I've been thinking about it, like, and the next one's church leader.
Disciple then.
Yeah, I was thinking about it in terms of initiating, like, I think, in someone who is, like, I'm reaching out to, I would expect them not to initiate very much, like, I'm gonna have to be the one that really initiates there. Friendship, I would think it's 50-50 initiation, like, both people should be initiating.
Yeah.
And then in discipler, I guess that one's kind of,
You haven't gotten there yet.
yeah, but I'm thinking about in terms of initiating.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about that for reaching out, like, I'm not gonna, if someone gives me their number, I'm not gonna expect them to be like, hit me up with all of the. I would love if they hit me up being like, when this and this, but I'm taking on the role that I'm gonna be the one providing them with that information.
Right.
And then with a friendship though, I expect someone to ask me to hang out just as much as I wanna hang out with them.
Yeah. It's interesting because this is also a personal, can be a little bit more personal in terms of like, yeah,
Love languages and stuff.
like, somebody may be like, oh, I expect my friends to text me on my birthday.
I would prefer nobody text me. I'm like, okay, so.
Yeah, that's how it's reasonable for them to just be a bit rash with you even, like, if you're a close friend.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna be taking it out of disciple, like, off disciple context, because I was gonna leave that for discipler, I don't know. It could be the same for if somebody's a disciple too, but like, they both could be brash with you, just like, I guess it just depends on the relationship, but like, it's like, like, you start slacking at something, or like they call you out, like, you're better than that, stop sucking. Or something, like, right, just be like, don't be like that.
Yeah, brutally honest.
Yeah, and so, but, that depends on the person too,
Right.
but I would be okay with somebody telling me that, like, if I'm close with.
Actually, where's my other list?
Yeah.
I got one for you. I'll email it to you.
Okay. Is it the one you shouldn't say, the stuff you shouldn't tell me?
Things you're terrible at.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, I feel like it, probably like the most basic thing, like, should be like your friend's care.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily expect a stranger to care about like my life going on in it. And I think that care is probably different per person, like what you said, so like you could be just listening or whatever, but that's kind of like on a friendly basis. And so I really don't care thing, then that should be like
Yeah.
that you would expect of a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about like, I expect the people that I'm friends with, like, I expect them to make time, just like I would make time, like. Okay, if I come visit you, like. We should be hanging out the whole weekend. Like, if I'm gonna take time to come and like, take a trip, like.
Yeah, for a second, I was like, you mean like if you come over to our house?
Hey, can I just live here, me and Lacey are in the middle of time.
I expect you to help me.
Yeah.
That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah,
And second dinner.
snacks in between each. That's two.
Yeah, I think like, I think all of those are great. Like reasonable expectations to have for friends. What about your disciple?
I'm gonna go with my last answer, Bob. I think it should be okay for them to say stop sucking.
Yeah.
In this particular area, maybe not that word, but I feel like even more so, it's like a higher call, like, it should be I feel like the relationship with your discipler. Disciples, you love one another, like it's closer.
Yeah.
So it's like, you should be able to read where they're at. And the person receiving, advice should be able to gauge. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm okay with a little bit of hard love when it comes to stuff like that, but at the same, I'm making it seem like I only do that. Like, I don't want people to say like, stop sucking all the time. Yeah, I'll take it. So I don't know. I feel like it's just, it's okay to step beyond the boundary of acquaintance.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of trying to.
Yeah.
Communicate.
I'm gonna relate it to the book that we just read. Maybe you should talk to somebody, and in that it talks about the difference between your friends and how they respond to you and a therapist and how they respond to you. And I feel like it's very similar to this, where like a friend is kind of like the soundboard. So if it's like my ex-boyfriend sucks, and you're gonna be like, yeah, he sucks. That's right.
Yeah.
That's the worst man I've ever seen. How? Yeah. And then a therapist is gonna be like, like they're gonna get big deeper. They have an overall like life that they're there to like get It's like, your friends are just there to support people. It's kind of weird for us though, because like, I was thinking about it when we talked about like discipler and friend sometimes kind of like, because most of your discipler is normally a friend.
Yeah.
And so they kind of have to play this weird balance of reflecting your emotions back at you, but then also being like, stop what you're doing. So it's kind of like a weird balance.
Let's have a good laugh, and then I'm gonna correct.
Yeah.
Those are the best times. I love those.
Like, that's so funny. You're really sinful though, and you should really take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I wouldn't. It's generally not.
It wasn't-
Yeah, it's interesting. The discipler dynamic is a very interesting one because like I think at the same time of giving the truth, your discipler, one of the expectations I think is to give a safe space. Like, you're not gonna confess sin if you don't feel like
Yeah.
that person is gonna be confidential, like they're gonna have your back, like, and so it's like, it's an interesting balance between the two. And I think like an expectation that the discipler can have is that you're vulnerable, like you're like honest, Yeah, it's that one's the tricky one with expectation. It's like,
Yeah, I feel like for that one, like. It's not that I haven't been friends, I feel like when my disciples were discipling me, it wasn't the same level as like. Like my two past disciplers, I'm now, friends with, but like, while they were discipling me, it wasn't that friendship relationship, it was like. We have this, I don't even wanna know, say what it was, but I feel like with my one discipler, like I was taking it as a friendship, and whenever she wasn't meeting my expectations as a friend, I was getting hurt. And she was like, it's because I'm, like, I sort of asked her, like, are we friends or not? Now we're friends, but I don't think, like, I think there's boundaries that when someone's your discipler, like, it's different than if they're your friend. So that's why I wouldn't, it's just, it's different though, because like disciplers are not like professionally trained.
Like,
I think
yeah.
whenever they started off as your friend, you're not though.
Yeah.
Like,
If you just like move to a new ministry and they're like, this is your disciple.
yeah.
all my disciplers were always like women who were like older spiritually than I was, and we hadn't developed that relationship yet, so I feel like it was we never had a chance to become friends beforehand. So I think it's all one-sided, I think it's more like 40-60 than 50-50 with a friend.
Yeah, well, and I do think there's a different kind of discipling that you can get. There's like the peer-to-peer discipling,
Yeah.
and then there's like mentor-mentee discipling.
Yeah.
And I think those two dynamics have different expectations.
Yeah.
Like, me and Miko are hanging out and we're like discipling each other. I would hope that it looks very different than like, me and Rich, or, whatever. So, you gonna say something?
I think is it like, are we talking about our expectations or just like general?
Just general, like reasonable expectations,
Yeah.
but you know.
I think a reasonable expectation when it comes to like discipling partner is just understanding this is discipling time versus a friendship time. I think that helping differentiate between like, hey, we're just hanging out versus like, all right, we are like serious conversation time right now because you are my disciple.
Yeah, which I think goes a long way to like clarifying a lot of the boundaries too, like, yeah, when you're expecting that it's like, when you're in friend time mode and the other person's in discipler mode.
Yeah.
like, whoa, like what? Yeah. Uh, And then.
She walked.
Hey, you okay? Or
She walked.
yeah, that's good.
She was right.
Hey.
She walked.
Strong girl, strong girl, strong.
The last one is reasonable expectations for a Bible talk leader, for a church leader.
Have all the answers.
Hey, this I can tell you that one's an unmet expectation.
Unreasonable, unmet, unspoken. Have your life together, be ready to retire.
I think being accessible.
Yeah.
Like, I think just being a leader, like, being a shepherd, like, as you're stepping into that role, you're stepping into making yourself available. That will need it. It's not necessarily you having the answers, but at least being able to work through whatever.
That was is why I never would be in leadership. You're available. I'm out.
I think, I just really lost, how many their thoughts?
It's gone.
I bet I stole it, cause I have one.
Okay.
And it just came to me. Let me know, cause that'd be kinda cool. Whoa!
Before you leave.
No! I was gonna say being relatable or being in touch with who you are, because, I've heard time and time again, and I've also probably even experienced it, where it's like, you know, you can have all the good, greatest intentions, but it can become, titles can become toxic.
Yeah.
You're your own worst, you can become your own worst enemy. So being like, staying in touch, that's all. You know what I mean?
I think you do. This wasn't about me, but thank you.
No, yeah.
This is part of like getting feedback, you know?
She's like, it was about Shanti told me.
I was reading,
they say nice things.
Yeah.
I was reading First Peter 5:2, and I think like in that, they talk a lot about well, they're talking about when he's talking about elders. But I think that like being an example, like our leaders should be examples. And if they're not like living up to like an example, I feel like we should be able to call them on that.
Yeah.
I think there's like a point to it, you know, like obviously they're not perfect people, but I think I don't want to follow someone who isn't living out the life that they're calling us to.
Respond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another reason I. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think a reasonable expectation for church leaders is like to be on top of like the calendar and planning things and having things ready. And I think humility is like. I think that is a reasonable expectation, that like you're able to share something with, you know, a leader that you may not say it the best way, but they're expected to be humble, you know, so.
Yeah. I would say like, not all knowing, but at least knowledgeable. I would expect that from a leader, like if there's like teaching what they've heard or like don't really have like a reason, like you ask them and yeah, this is like I like that's hard for me to follow. So
What you're saying that I'm hard to follow.
that's right. This is why I went to the book club.
Say how men suck, just call you out.
We can keep going and attending. You can't. You never, anytime you don't show up, he does.
Yeah.
I was there once. He did.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's, I think evaluating our own expectations for people, I think is a really important. And I think the biggest thing is spoken. Spoken, communicated, clear expectations. Because I think a lot of times, like, we roll into like getting a new discipler and it's like, I kind of have my own expectations and you have your own, and it's like having clearly, communicated expectations, I think is important. So, yeah, on that note, just a reminder, as a region, we talked about our expectations back in September. Yeah. Good. Yeah. But the one, the expectation that stands out in my mind is we said 10 o'clock. Everybody shows up at 10 o'clock for 10:30 service. I mean, I feel like we meet that pretty reasonably well. Ironically, I feel like the people who don't show up at 10 o'clock are the people who weren't at that midweek, who didn't hear the expectations and also haven't watched any of the midweeks and don't understand that it's expected of them that they watch the midweeks. And so it's just this vicious cycle of
We're
not
late
knowing.
Sunday service, so go ahead and say it, Sean. Go ahead and say it.
We try to make out by being 2 hours early for midweek.
Like I average on time.
By far.
I have some credit actually to my name.
But, I think those are important kind of expectations to revisit. We'll probably talk about them at some point again, but in terms of announcements, there's a Yopro campus game night over at the Lassiter's Friday at 7 p.m. So anybody wants to go?
This weekend, all right.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go either. So
Because as of right now, it's Saturday Valentine's, Sunday church, Sunday football.
it's
Yeah. Yes. It's just great stuff that.
yes, that is. We'll talk about that in a second. Other things, Young Leaders Training is Saturday at 2 o'clock at Putnam County Library. I expect you people to listen. But Young Leaders Training Saturday at 2.
First in the young year. Back to that.
I don't know. This is our first one.
This is the first, like,
Yeah.
where's it happening?
Putnam County Library.
That.
It's right off the Tazik. You get off, it's like you take a left there, it's kind of by like Panera and that.
What time is it again?
2 p.m. So
Who in the world can come to 2 p.m.?
on this Saturday.
Oh, it's on Saturday? Okay,
Yeah.
that's more acceptable. I'm like,
It's just
2 p.m.
me and Rich meeting up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Saturday at 2 p.m. 2 to 4. Churches in Charleston this Sunday. Wear your favorite jersey. I expect you all to wear Eagles stuff. Or
You have enough to outfit us the whole, you have enough to outfit all of us, so yeah, we should be good.
We're handing them out, bro. The Giants fan wore it.
No.
He's like, I'll burn it. Yeah. But yeah, church Sunday, 10:30. The other thing is that I am working on an AV training video. And so the goal is that it's like a 10-minute video that explains here's how you set up the AV for service. Here are like the things that here are the steps to go through. Here's where to find the extra videos, whatever. Because I think the reality is like currently I like set everything up for it. But if I'm speaking, then it is kind of difficult to run AV and speak at the same time. So it's really not that difficult and everything will be set already beforehand. I also put together like a checklist for things that are in the tri-state church bin. So that, hopefully we know, yes, so we can go through and say, okay, oh wait, we got this one, you know, whatever. And so that way it's just a little bit more like, hey, everything's here. So, the last thing is that we'll talk through, you know, after we turn off the recording, is who needs housing for Troas night? So, that's.
Bye, Jackson.
Bye, Jackson.